Love you guys. Appreciate it. What are the predictions for the Eagles next season, and would you guys rate their draft haul? A solid B draft as far as the draft goes. I like some of the moves they made. As far as season prediction, I think they'll challenge to win the NFC East, and I think they're, certainly in the mix for a wild card spot. It all depends on the health of Carson Wentz. When he's healthy, they're as dangerous of a team in the NFC. Problem is he's not healthy all the time, and you don't have Nick Foles now, so that's going to be the
How many wins?
I'll say 10-6, wild card team.
Cool. I'll say 9. So I'm going to set the over-under for Eagles wins in 2019 at 9.5. So if you guys are watching, over for 9.5, under for 9.5. We want to know from everybody who's watching. Joseph Sandoval says the Eagles are trash. I'm going to guess that you're going to go with the under. So
Eagles 1-15.
I'll take the over on that. So as you guys are seeing down there, over/under Eagles wins 9.5. Jeremy Wiley is saying over. Okay, so we'll continue to look. Jeff Rogers says over. I'm going to go with my under because I'm going to say 9 wins for the Eagles.
I think that 9-10 range is kind of what you're looking at.
Probably where it's at.
Yep.
Brian Curie, still without a picture, but appreciate your support. Would the Cowboys consider trading Lael Collins to a team? If so, who and for what? Any idea? Because I have an idea.
Well, the big theory out there is you're not going to bring Collins back. He's going to be a casualty based on salary cap because they have too many guys to pay. You got to pay Dak, got to pay Cooper. They say they want to pay Zeke at some point. Lael Collins, nice player, but he's a beeline player in the NFL. You don't overpay for guys like that. You drafted McGovern to help boost that O-line. Connor Williams might be moving to tackle, so I think he'll be out after this year. But if you found a good trade for a solid safety, because that's the one position the Cowboys could upgrade in, I think you would consider it. As far as team specific, I know there was a theory thrown out there, Carl Joseph.
I love the idea.
Collins for
Carl Joseph, Collins, and then an extra pick for the Raiders would send an extra pick then for Collins. I think the idea is fun, and if you guys love Cowboys content, make sure you guys subscribe at that link below. It's youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report, the #1 Cowboys channel on YouTube. That one's no doubt 4 stars there. Subscribe, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. Personally, now I might be biased on this one. Now I know we talked about Carl Joseph in a trade. I think the #1 Raiders show on the internet is youtube.com/Raiders Report. 4 Chucky Heads believe that. And this goes great with this question from Casey Gonzalez. #NFL Bell to the Raiders. We are already back to Le'Veon Bell to the Raiders. Now, the reason why I think this question is being brought up, because there's another company out there that wrote an article, three potential landing spots for Le'Veon Bell, or 3 teams that could trade for him. They put the Raiders, they put the Buccaneers, and then I believe they put the Eagles. So, yeah, back to Raiders to the...
You can't draft a running back in the first round and then trade for Le'Veon Bell.
I just don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. Sure, there's a report out now that the Jets could trade Bell because Adam Gase doesn't like him. I think Adam Gase likes Le'Veon Bell. He just thinks that the Jets overpaid for him. And come on, the Raiders just drafted Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to win Rookie of the Year. Wolf's was here. Can Brady do it again?
As of today, that's my Super Bowl pick. I could change my mind, but I think the Patriots under Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you'd have to make them the slight favorites. That's the thing. Every time they'll get blasted in week 3 by somebody, and then you'll see the articles. Brady, dynasty over. Brady's washed. Who's his backup? Got to get him ready. Then they'll win 8 out of 10 to end the year or whatever it is. They'll be a top 2 seed in the AFC, and then they'll win the Super Bowl. Be like, oh, yeah, remember week 4? No one cares about what happens in September. The Patriots will be just fine. They certainly have a good chance of repeating.
All right, Jabari Owens, get a picture. Would you guys like to see Tech 9 perform at Super Bowl this season? Any chance I can see 69 on screen, I'm all about it. Do you listen to this kind? Do you like hip-hop?
I know some of Tech 9's stuff. I wouldn't say I'm a loyal listener to his product. He's not, my big cup of tea, but I like some of his stuff.
How about this?
It would be better. What was it last year? I can't even remember who performed last year. I feel like it was really bad.
The fact that we can't even remember.
It was Maroon 5 in Atlanta. That was an awful fit. Tech 9 would have been better last year.
Well, I have absolutely no idea who performed. Maroon 5, you guys were bad. Tech 9, let us know. How about this? Hear me out. When we hit 100,000 subscribers, when Tom comes back, we dye his hair rainbow since he won't shave it because he's a coward. We'll give him rainbow teeth. What do you guys think about that? Throw that in the comments section. About it?
Works for me.
All right, Urza Do you think the Giants will get Kyle Rudolph? What? Urza. Oh, it's Ezra.
Keep trying, buddy. I think it'd be an interesting fit, although if you're the Giants...
Letters.
I think a team that's ready to contend now makes more sense for Rudolph. He's in the last year of his deal. The Giants have Evan Ingram, so he'd be the number 2 guy there. I'll tell you a team that would make sense is the Chiefs. You get a second tight end next to Kelsey, do more 2 tight end sets with Tyreek Hill not playing, most likely this year.
If there's a team that makes the most sense to go out and get Kyle Rudolph, it is the Houston Texans. Ryan Griffin, he's not even on the team anymore. I don't know if you know the whole story with him. They drafted a tight end, and then an hour later, the dude got arrested. Like, that is some serious curse word. I think the Raiders would be interesting. I mean, they definitely need a lot of help. So I think the Raiders and Texans, those are my top 2 teams for Kyle Rudolph. Also another team, they have a lot of money, and Andrew Luck loves himself a tight end. Yeah. Maybe throw another one in there. You got Jack Doyle, Kyle Rudolph, and then Eric Ebron. 3 tight end sets for Andrew Luck. Call me crazy. Robert, what do we got here? Jansen. We all at Raider Nation want to F Tom and C. Wow. But who is out there and would come to the Raiders as a great O-line coach?
Anybody else?
Literally anybody else besides Tom Campbell. Now, I'll say this. I've been flirting with some ideas. I'm going to be coming out with a show pretty soon on the Raiders Report. Better offensive line coach that the Raiders could fire Tom Cable for and then hire a new guy, because I say it all the time. So, Robert, do you subscribe? YouTube.com/Raiders Report. Because you should. Trek Reviewer. Tom Downy to become next New York Jets GM at Chat Sports.
Could be worse than Adam Gase.
But next New York Jets GM at Chat Sports.
We can leave the at Chat Sports out of it. Just focus on the next GM part. Look, I don't know what the Jets are going to do, but Adam Gase cannot be running operations there. That's all I know.
No?
That is all.
Personally, I think I would be a better one, but there's a period, dude. Yeah, I get it. I don't care. All right, I'm talking to Tom, or I'm talking to Brett. Can't get my mind straight. All right, Wanna Beast. Get a picture. Could the Broncos release Ronald Leary to make additional cap room to sign Chris Harris to an extension?
I mean, you could, but then you have a vacancy on your offensive line. I mean, this is part of running an NFL team. You got to pick and choose what you value most. Do you value the offensive line if you're the Broncos? Do you value that secondary? I mean, Chris Harris is, getting up there. I think he's over 30 at this point in his career. I would think that they would not go in that direction. I think they'll keep Leary and shore up that offensive line and probably have to say goodbye to Chris Harris. That's part of it. Eventually, you have to say goodbye to players, good players, and Chris Harris is still a good player. I think that's best for both sides, too, because he's the type of player that, at this point in his career, needs to be playing for a contender. I don't think Denver's that team. I don't expect him back in Denver this season.
Chris Harris is 29 years old, still playing, though, at a very, very high level. Nathan Watkins, don't know what you look like. What will the Dak deal look like?
Tom's outlined it pretty well. I think you're looking at 5 years, around $150 million, around 30 per, with probably, 100 guaranteed, 2/3 of it. I mean, that's probably what it's going to be. It's between 28 and 30. I mean, maybe a hair over 30, depending if WENTZ signs first for 32, then all of a sudden Dak's deal may go up. But I think that's what you're looking at. And before you freak out and before you panic, what's the alternative? I mean, you take your chances in the draft. There's not another quarterback on this roster that's going to be the quarterback for the future. So gear up, because Dak is getting paid. The Cowboys have made that clear. So I think it's going to be 5 years, and I think it's going to be almost $30 million per, if not $30 million per.
Let me ask you this, because we talked about Carson Wentz a little bit earlier in today's show. Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott, who do you think is more deserving of $30 million?
When you throw in words like that, deserving, I think Dak is more deserving of a longer contract because he's been healthier. He's played in playoff games. He's won a playoff game. I think he's more deserving. The ideal for me, if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd want the Kirk Cousins deal. Go heavy on 3 years, fully guaranteed. If it doesn't work out, 3 years down the road, you can reset. Because if you give that 5-year deal and you're in year 2 and you're like, oh my gosh, we're stuck with this guy, well, then that's just kind of what you have. We want to ask you guys, though, C for Carson Wentz, D for Dak Prescott. that's a different question too. I think Wentz is better. I think Dak is more
That's
deserving.
why I asked it. I think Dak is more deserving of the contract because
I agree.
He's been to the playoffs and he's actually carried his team and he's actually been very good.
He's played well in the playoffs too. He hadn't just played in the playoffs. He's played well in all 3 games.
However, if you could ask me right now, I think Carson Wentz has the higher ceiling, and I would much rather build my team around Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott because, for me, I don't think Dak's the top 10 quarterback.